Hey guys, Heather here, and this is our fifth and final video in the 5-day fresh start. Today we're going to be borrowing from my word of the year, and that is embrace, and it is embrace you. Embrace you as a person, what you are doing now. Embrace what you've done in the past, and embrace what you're going to do in the future. Because you are the constant. Yes, you can change, and your body may change, and what you do may change, but you are the constant. And so really just kind of shrinking in from maybe all the expectations or all the, the thoughts and judgments you've had on yourself for the past, for the current, present, I say that right, and for the future. Just focus on you and what are you trying to do? And that is what is worth embracing. We can't change the past. We can only use today to change the future. So stop where you are. And I know it sounds corny and it maybe feels uncomfortable, but I really think it helps our self-esteem. And this is something I have to practice all the time too, to tell yourself 3 good things about you today. And what this does is it helps you focus on you and not an outcome. Because yes, you can maybe have a deeper love for yourself when you reach a goal weight or a goal size or a goal like exercise accomplishment. Like, you will be so happy and love yourself, but it's not because you did that. It's gonna be because you did it and you worked hard and you stuck it out. You will love that outcome, but the love for yourself is gonna be deeper. But we have to start acting as if now and focusing on doing those things that are going to keep you doing the things. And so that is to really embrace where you are right now. Embrace the qualities of you that are going to get you there. And sometimes we get kind of just lost on seeing that gap, the difference between where we are and where we want to be. And that can be discouraging, and that leads to a lot of negative self-talk. I am a queen of negative self-talk, and it's only recently through therapy that I've really noticed how prevalent it is in all of my thoughts. And so it's been something that is really important to me to bring to the surface. Not saying that everyone suffers from it. I wish that were the case. I wish it was just me, but I know it's not. So really be on top of yourself with that self-talk when you know something is beating yourself up, when you're saying things that cut yourself short, beat yourself down, and you really start only looking for the things you're doing wrong. That's not embracing yourself. You can embrace like, I struggle with negative self-talk. Okay, we can embrace that. That's a struggle of yours. Everyone struggles with something, right? And that is one of yours. It's probably not the only thing you struggle with either, right? So just taking where you are and just becoming matter of fact, trying to detach any kind of like, I'm like this right now, I'm always going to be this way. No, but saying, okay, negative self-talk is something I have to work on. And so then anytime you catch yourself, obviously you know the drill, like, oh, you're supposed to pause, replace the thought with something positive, or, just try to avoid the trigger altogether, modify the trigger, change the environment. But really, it takes time. It's not an overnight thing, and sometimes it's going to go really well, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's going to go really well, and sometimes it's not. And ideally, we just get more good days strung together and fewer bad days in there. So that's part of that wave motion we've been talking about all week versus going the same circle. Oh, I hate myself. If being really critical of ourselves, if self-depreciation talk, if self-punishment worked, we would all be perfect by now, right? Those of us that struggle with it, I'm talking to you. Right. And so the fact of the matter is it doesn't make us work harder. It doesn't make the outcome different. It just makes us feel like crap. And when we feel like crap, we tend to treat everyone around us like crap, or at least I do. So really trying to embrace that. Yeah, sometimes our self-talk is something we have to work on. Sometimes, like we've talked about earlier, our expectations are things we have to work on. Sometimes being honest and committing to priorities is something we have to work on. Those are all things that we can embrace. We don't have to have a negative reaction to that. Like, that's just part of the process. That's part of the journey. And that I know when I spend more time scrolling social media and like watching reels and stuff, we all know it's a highlight reel, right? There's very few people out there that are willing to be vulnerable and open to their struggles and their missteps and the mistakes they make. Sure, people can do lessons learned, but that's still always once they're already there and they did it. And we don't always see how much time it takes, or everything, the battles that go on in our brains, right? The battles that go on in our homes trying to prioritize different things. So be aware of that, what you take in, and then how you evaluate that, how your brain categorizes that. Like, are you filtering that as, this is someone's highlight reel, I don't know their whole story? Even if they say it's their whole story, you don't really know. I talk a lot about that with some one-on-one clients. We have to get over some body image issues. We've got to work through some realistic expectations, and it's just, you don't always know. So it may take some discipline on limiting the time you spend watching other people, because if that affects how you talk to yourself and the expectations you put on yourself, that's us going around in a circle. That's not us moving forward. So obviously, I'm still on social media like all the time, probably way too much according to my kids and my phone and myself. But that's something I can be aware of. And if I track and measure it, if I use those little timer apps and don't turn them off, that would be a way to measure, right? So right now, maybe it's not a priority for me, and it could be at some point, but I've got other stuff going on. And so I hope me sharing my personal stories and my personal struggles with you guys in this video kind of helps see that you don't have to be a superhuman to be successful. You don't have to be perfect every single day to be successful. You don't have to do everything to be successful. We just focus on one thing at a time. That's really the best thing we can do in our crazy, hectic, busy lives. In the whole comparison and curated imperfection and everything else we're facing. Just take a deep breath. My best recommendation is to find 1, 2, or 3 things, if you're having a really good day, things that you can tell yourself, things that you can use to anchor yourself, pull yourself down, be your string attached to earth, that you can focus on and maybe start every day with, if that is something that would work for you. Or in the afternoon, maybe instead of checking out and scrolling and then leaving you feeling grumpy because you're not achieving or doing all this, or you don't look like so-and-so while you're waiting in the car line, and then your kids get in the car and you're all grumpy and they're like, why aren't you happy? You're like, well, I actually just scrolled for 20 minutes and now I don't like myself. Hopefully that's not familiar, but I'm guessing it probably is for some of you. At least one of you maybe is like me. So see, I'm not perfect. There's things I have to work on too. There's things I have worked on and seen results, and it comes from prioritizing them, focusing on them, measuring them, adjusting the expectations. How quickly can it happen? Is that really important? Or what would be better? And then not using, what other people show on social media as my normal. What is normal for me? What works for my family? What feels good to me? And what is attainable, and how to break it down. And just knowing that it is a process and it is taking work. I think sometimes we forget that it is work. I try to highlight the hard work that people put in, the choices they make to prioritize things as much as possible, but even I don't know their whole story. So always value, the work you're putting in. You've heard recently now, it's not a participation award for everything. You're going to value the effort. I'm so proud of you for trying. And that's it. Just keep trying. You have to stick with it even when it's hard. And if it's not hard, then you're not doing it right. They say that comfort zones are great places, but nothing ever grows there. And that's completely true. If you want to change and stay comfortable, you're really not going to change. You have to be uncomfortable. And we all have different degrees that we can tolerate discomfort. And that's going to vary from person to person. And honestly, our life load, how much else we have going on in our life that feels uncomfortable. If you've got a whole lot of other stuff that you really can't control that's making you feel uncomfortable, your intentional discomfort, what you can put on yourself, is going to be smaller than, if things are calm right now, things are going pretty good, you've got a good routine, good village, good support system, you haven't just packed up and moved and trying to start over and make new friends and start a new job. That's not going to be a time where you can be uncomfortable. But if you haven't done that, you might be able to dedicate more time and brain energy to being uncomfortable, because I feel like that adds a stress, right? It does. When we're uncomfortable, that is stressful. And so we've already got a whole bunch of stresses on. Maybe that's a better way to phrase it. It's going to be hard to put a whole other degree of stress. So keep it small, keep it proportionate to what you're comfortable with, okay? And so if you haven't already scheduled your one-on-one call, please do so. You can do that anytime next week. We may even have to bump it to the week after, but go ahead and use that link to schedule your call with me. You've got the workouts and trainer eyes still for another week if you're watching this live to or real time, depending on when you watch this, but that free trial is there for you, and I'm here to support you and help you answer questions. I would also love to stay in touch with you, so be looking out for an email from me, just a little brief survey, and then what other things you can do, and I just want to know what's going on. So thank you guys for tuning in. This has been great. I love teaching and sharing and coaching, and I really hope you found it motivating. If you did, also please feel free to pass this along. You can share the video links. The event on Facebook is going to go away, but you can feel free to share these links with anybody you want, or recommend they follow me, or however you found me as well. So thank you guys again for joining me. It has been a blast, and I wish you all the best of luck.